You're watching Talk of the Town on Cambridge Cable TV 2 and a new Concord on Orbit TV 9.
Welcome to this first of 2017 edition of Talk of the Town. I'm Daniel Barnett, in today for Perry Baranich. It is a special edition of Talk of the Town today. We are going to be sitting down to celebrate the career and reflect on the 30 years of service by Judge David A. Ellwood, who recently retired again after 30 years as Guernsey County Common Pleas Court Judge. It's my pleasure to sit down with him today, so stay tuned. We will be talking to him for all three segments today on Talk of the Town.
From the U.S. Bank Studios, it's Talk of the Town with Perry Baranich.
He can be called many things. Cambridge High School graduate class of 1961, I'm told the greatest graduating class of Cambridge High School. A U.S. Army veteran, a proud husband, father, and grandfather, and most recently, the longest-serving sitting Common Pleas Court judge in Ohio, with many other accolades. Celebrating 30 years as a Common Pleas Court judge, we have David A. Ellwood. Thanks for sitting down with me today.
Well, thank you, Daniel.
So, you are a local boy through and through. Let's talk about David Ellwood's early life in Cambridge.
My early life in Cambridge started not too far. We're here in the Common Pleas courtroom of the courthouse. I was born about 2 blocks from here at the old St. Francis Hospital, and I grew up about 3 blocks from here at the corner of South 5th Street and Wheeling Avenue. My parents had a store there called the Ellwood Supply Company, and so each day when I was in grade school, I walked by this courthouse 2 times a day, going to and from school. And I was encouraged by my mother when I asked if I was allowed to come into this courtroom and listen to the attorneys present their cases to the judge or jury. And I dreamed that perhaps someday I too could be an attorney or even a judge. And so I suppose that's the background. Grew up on the streets of Cambridge, basically.
So the law bug bit you early. What was it that drew you into the courtroom in the first place?
My mother had worked for 2 years prior to Judge Howard Fott being elected judge of the Common Pleas Court. And in a way, it was also a place to come for. My father was a wonderful man, but a very hard worker. And he taught me that principle of life. And if I came to the courtroom, listen, I didn't have to back to the store and work as much. So, but I was always interested in listening to the attorneys present the law. In the olden days, that's how attorneys learned the law. They read the law and listened to the attorneys in the courtroom. I think that's a very, very important as a background. I never dreamed that I'd ever come back to Cambridge or ever be able to practice law, and that only occurred after 4 years of college, 3 years in the United States Army during the Vietnam era. I went back to Ohio University for a business degree, for my undergraduate degree. I'm glad we're on the air with this now, so it can be used teasingly. My undergraduate degree is in history and religion. And then 3 years at Capital University Law School. I used the GI Bill, but because I went back and got a business degree at Ohio University first before I went to law school, and I had 2 years left. Mm-hmm. So the last year I was in law school, I worked as a page in the state senate for the Honorable Robert T. Sechrest, the living legend of this community, who had been congressman, state senator, and long-term veterans advocate.
Before we get too far away from it, obviously your time in the military, I know, is still very important to you. Tell us a little bit about your military career.
I graduated from college in May 30th of 1965, and on June 15th, I had my draft notice. And I went and talked to the local Army recruiter, who was Dan Wiggins, and he assured me with a college degree it would be better if I would enlist, and he would see what programs would be more useful. And so I enlisted, and the program I was most useful in was called 111, Basic Infantry. And so I went through basic training, advanced infantry training at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and then on to one side of the world and served. That was a 1-year tour of duty, and after that, if you had more than a year left on your tour of duty, you could pick your next duty assignment in the Army, and I went to Germany and spent a little more than a year in Germany, and was discharged in 1968.
So after you returned to your community, you received your education, you worked as a page, you returned to your community to practice law, you started your law career here?
No, I actually started in Columbus, Ohio. I worked there for just a couple of months, and John Charles Shepard, later Judge Shepard, was state representative at that time, and in his law firm was Neil Tosteson and Deemer Agnew, and he needed another attorney he was going back and forth to Columbus all of the time, and I'd met him working as a page in the Senate, and he invited me to come back and start practice of law here. And he was, of course, a friend with my father, and it was a great opportunity. When I joined the law firm shortly thereafter, Deemer Agnew passed away. John Charles Shepard was state representative and was gone for a period of time. Neil Tosteson was director of the Reclamation Association for the coal industry, and so very quickly we went from a 3-man law firm to I was the only attorney practicing. So I practiced for 12 years and had a very, very active practice of law before I was elected judge.
Okay, well that's a very good place for us to break for a moment.
All right.
When we return, we're going to talk to Judge Ellwood more about his decision to run for judge and his election in 1986. That will be when we return on Talk of the Town.
Talk of the Town will be right back.
Learning Jungle on Main Street, formerly Main Street School Supply, is located in downtown Cambridge just west of the courthouse on Wheeling Avenue. They have a huge location full of educational resources and toys that teach, as well as entertain. They feature a large inventory of gifts for children of all ages, and you just have to check out their selection of stuffed animals, puppets, games, and much more. The Learning Jungle on Main Street, downtown Cambridge, has layaway for your convenience and is the area's only specialty toy store. A world of knowledge is waiting for you at their front door.
Cambridge is more than just a town. This is our home.
Supporting downtown Cambridge means shopping at the places we love with the people we love.
For the stuff we can't get anywhere else.
Food that tastes like home.
And personal service from people who know your name.
The money we spend here will keep our town growing.
Let's all shop small for our town.
The home we love.
And the uniqueness that makes Cambridge
a great place to live, work, and play.
Cambridge Classic Ford in downtown Cambridge prides themselves on offering the largest inventory and the best customer service in the area. Visit their lot and experience the Classic Difference. The Classic Difference provides customers a service above and beyond what you'll find anywhere else. Their service department, body shop, and parts department strive for the best service and pricing in southeastern Ohio. Stop by the lot and browse their large selection of new and pre-owned inventory, ask about easy financing, or schedule an oil change. That's Cambridge Classic Ford in downtown Cambridge. Stop by and experience the Classic Difference for yourself.
Check out Talk of the Town on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Talk of the Town Show and stay up to date.
And welcome back to Talk of the Town. I am here once again with Judge David A. Ellwood, and when we left off, we were arriving at the 1986 election, so let's pick up there, Judge. What made you decide to run for Judge of the Common Pleas Court?
Well, the Honorable John Henderson was retiring, as I am retiring because of the age limits of judges in Ohio. Ohio is one of 5 states that have age limits for their judges. And of course, there's no age limit on the federal level. It's a lifetime appointment. But in Ohio, you're not permitted to seek election as judge after you've passed the age of 70. And so Judge Henderson was retiring, and I had several people come to me and ask if I would be interested in running for judge, and I decided that I would be. That goes back to what we said in the last segment. As a young boy coming in this courtroom and listening to the attorneys and then present their cases to the judge, I thought that would be something that was always a hope and dream of mine. And so when I was elected in 1986, it was the fulfillment of all of my boyhood hopes and dreams to become a judge. Wouldn't have happened without the help of many, many people in the community, and I was a slight underdog in the election of 1986. I ran against a very fine attorney who had been the prosecuting attorney in Guernsey County, Thomas Tribby, and with the help of my wife and my son and many of her friends, I was blessed the first election that I ever participated in to win by about 60%, and was considered quite a underdog upset. It wasn't much to the people that knew me, however, for I have never had great talent, but I've always had a great work ethic, and we went and knocked on pretty much everybody's door in the community, and my little son was a third grader, and he had asked people to vote for his father. 30 years later, they continued to vote for his father.
And you haven't been an underdog since. In fact, you ran unopposed in the next 4 elections.
I think that's right, yes.
And you'll have to help me on the number, but you, to date, have received the most votes of any elected official in Guernsey County. That was in 2004, correct?
That's right on, Daniel. 2004, I received the most votes in the history of Guernsey County for any candidate, either opposed or unopposed.
And that number was?
13,178, okay. I believe.
And yes, has not been reached since.
Yeah. So
let's talk about, obviously your career as a judge, and there have to be some cases that stick out in your mind, either they're memorable or they're ignominious, however you want to look at them.
Sure.
What are some of the cases when you look back over your 30 years that come to mind?
The one that starts in my mind was the very first case I did. It was a divorce case, and I rendered a divorce. At that time, you had to decide. We now have no-fault divorce, dissolution of marriage, but you had to decide that the grounds for the divorce were either for the husband or for the wife, and then make the other decisions accordingly. And I ruled in that case on the evidence presented for the husband, and it was my first case. It was on a Monday. We used to always do the domestic relations docket of the court on Monday, and so to celebrate that I'd finished my first day in court, my wife Annette and I went out to eat. We went to, at that time, what was the Holiday Inn, and the waitress was the wife in the divorce case. And I early on found out what it means to be judge in a small community. And yet she was very gracious, and when I left the table to pay the check, she even thanked my wife for how I had treated her in the courtroom. Never forgot that.
No.
That it's people you're dealing with.
What would you say has been the most, and let's take this 2 ways. First of all, the case that was the most difficult to reach a decision on, what case would that be in your mind?
Oh, clearly the most difficult cases are not what you might expect. Most people say the criminal cases or the civil cases where a lot of money is involved. Truly, in my early years, before I had a magistrate, and because in the later years with the criminal caseload increasing so much, and the oil and gas cases just recently, I've been pretty much doing the jury trials and the criminal cases only. But early on in my career, it was the decision you have to make in every family that is divorcing of who the children go with, who in the best interest of the children is the best parent. And in many cases, you're making a decision of the least of two evils sometimes. And I've found those to be the most difficult decisions. Those impact the lives of children, and some of the children would be 1 year old, so it'd be for the next 18 years.
Now, taking the other side of that, what case would you say, and with whatever level of comfort you have talking about it, was the most difficult to hear, where the facts of the case were difficult?
As the Common Pleas Court hears the most serious cases, the felonies, I've done 5 capital case, death penalty cases. I've done approximately 500 jury trials. Of those, about 300 would be criminal cases. And the most serious criminal case that I've been called on to rule on, in 4 of the 5 death penalty cases, the jury recommended something other than the death penalty. In the one case, the jury recommended the death penalty, and the judge is then required to review that and determine if it is appropriate under the facts presented. And the facts presented in the case that was the case of State of Ohio versus Marvin Johnson. We had to have a change of venue and go to Belmont County, St. Clairsville, Ohio, and the defendant, in the midst of the trial, stood up and said, "Judge, I want to fire my attorneys. This is a death penalty case." And so we had to take a recess, have him evaluated for competency. He was found competent. We came back in about 2 weeks and finished the trial. And during the trial, he chose to cross-examine the victim, the mother of the little boy that he'd killed, and ask her just some very terrible questions, and advised how he felt when he killed her son. And so obviously details like that are always difficult to hear. There's many of the cases there's no nice way to hear the facts, but it's the duty of the judge to hear them, sort them out in accordance with the law, and then render a verdict accordingly. The verdict in that case was for the death penalty.
Well, and the most difficult job you have. I don't imagine how you can do that, but we're going to step away for a moment,
right,
and when we come back, we're going to talk about things that are more pleasant.
All right,
I promise.
thank you.
So that'll be when we return here on Talk of the Town.
We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town.
Bundy Law Funeral Home, locally owned since 1924, has earned the confidence of families they serve in the area. They provide quality service to the area every day and understand at the time of need you want to find comfort in dealing with folks that know you and honors your faith and customs. You'll get straightforward answers on prices, services, and pre-planning. You'll find they offer a variety of options to personalize your funeral service. See Chris Gibson, Jim Law, or Jacob Coe at Bundy Law Funeral Home.
It's a beautiful morning, not a care in the world, until you find a water leak directly over your office computer. But wait, if you've already let AVC Technical Services handle your data backup, you still don't have a care in the world. AVC Technical Services, affordable IT and computer repair services for businesses of any size or anyone. Network maintenance, managed services, virus protection, 24-hour support availability. AVC, a name you know, people you trust. Find out more online at yourradioplace.com/AVCTech.
U.S. Bank is the 5th largest bank in the country, and while being recognized nationally for their strength and stability, they continue to provide hometown service. At U.S. Bank, they provide a variety of products and services for your consumer and small business needs, such as free checking with internet banking, loans and lines of credit, and free financial planning services. At U.S. Bank, they're proud to support the growth and development of their communities by helping local business owners achieve success.
For a show schedule of upcoming guests and to watch past episodes, go to yourradioplace.com.
And welcome back. Once again, we are sitting down with Judge David A. Ellwood. And when we stopped last time, we were talking a bit about the difficulties of trying cases, the difficulties of the information or the decisions that you have to make. How would you say things have changed in law or in your hearing of cases from when you started to now in these 30 years?
That's a very fair question, Daniel. The biggest change that I've seen, of course, is the marked increase in the criminal felony cases, primarily due to the drug epidemic we're currently experiencing, not just in this county, but all across the country. And when I started, the cases were pretty evenly balanced of 1/3 domestic relations, 1/3 civil, 1/3 criminal. Now it's almost my full time is devoted to the criminal cases and trying the civil cases, the jury trials. And obviously you become experienced just by doing.
Right.
And many people think that any attorney can just come into a courtroom. It's an art form to present a case to a jury of peers. And not everyone does it well. And not every trial judge, quite frankly, does it well. And any success I may have had is simply by doing it and learning. And I've had the people of Guernsey County to work with, and they've been wonderful to come and serve as jurors. And we have gone to one of the courts that always was behind on its cases, to a court that has always been current with its cases, and we have very few cases ever go overtime in this court, and meaning from the time they're filed to the time that is necessary for trial under Supreme Court guidelines. But that change of the drug epidemic has also brought one of the greatest challenges, and I think one of the little successes a lot of people don't know about. That's the drug court, called our CARE program, Court Assisted Recovery and Education. We've had approximately 300 people in the last 12 years we've been doing that program that have remained drug-free for at least 1 year, had random drug screen tests every week, found employment, paid their court cost, paid any restitution to any person that may have been injured by their offense, and have then been able to be restored to their civil rights by the court under the intervention in lieu of conviction statute. And however, that has not been heavily publicized by the court for a very good reason. The very first graduate I had from drug court put his picture in the newspaper, here's your graduation certificate. And by the way, this coming Friday we'll have 5 graduating from that program, and that won't occur. But we put his picture in the newspaper. 2 weeks later he lost his job. Counterproductive. If we're going to rehabilitate people, and we truly believe people can be rehabilitated, and I've seen it, we have 300 people in this community that have now able to have a job, not have a felony conviction on their record, and they've been drug-free. So it's those kind of stories really the community needs to know about. It's called the CARE program, the Common Pleas Court of Guernsey County. And when Ray Chori was starting the Choices program, and he's done a wonderful job with that, bringing the community together and getting involved. He came and asked, what things do we need to do and what do we need to do in the community? And he's been wonderful to work with, and what he's accomplished with the Choices program. And it's not just he, it's just not I, it's everyone of the community getting involved. And we've gone from just a year ago having 5 heroin deaths to the last month we had in the drug court 0 positive tests for heroin.
And the CARES program obviously is one of the legacies you're leaving Guernsey County with.
I hope so.
The speedy court docket or the up-to-date court docket. But I know too we've talked about how proud you are, and rightfully so, of restoring the courthouse to, let's say, its former glory.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that process.
Well, the evening I was sworn in 1986 in December, Judge Henderson said words of this effect to me. He said, David, he'd known me all my life, so he called me by my first name. This courthouse has fallen in disrepute. In the courtroom, the ceiling's coming in, the tile is coming up, and you and the commissioners should see if you could not do something about this. I thought, oh my, it's only taken 100 years to get like this. And with the help of the Bar Association, the Law Library trustees, we were able to return the courtroom and the courthouse to the way it would have looked in 1881. Courthouse, particularly with the light show and what Joel Lasigo and ABC Communications has been able to do, is the historic landmark. People are proud of the courthouse. And this courtroom is very functional. Built in 1881, and it accommodates a jury trial, it accommodates spectators, as you know. You've come to many cases to cover them for the news media, and it's very workable. And I'm very proud of the courthouse and the way it looks now. First night it came, brought my wife to the office, and she looked at the Venetian blinds, and there was about a ½ inch of dust on them. She started crying, and I thought, oh my, I've done a wonderful job. Made my wife cry. She got out the bucket, and we started cleaning, and we haven't quit cleaning the courthouse since. This is the way it can and should always look.
So let's reflect. What would you say is the most valuable or important thing you've learned from your 30 years as a common pleas court judge?
To treat the people that come to court with dignity and respect, and understand that even if you're sentencing a person to prison, that you do it in accordance with the law, but you treat them as an individual with dignity and respect. You tell them why the decision's being made, and I've attempted to do that for 30 years.
Okay. Well, Judge Ellwood, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Daniel.
Such a pleasure, and congratulations. Enjoy your retirement.
Well, thank you.
You get to spend some time away from this place.
Yes, spend some time with my wife and my grandsons.
Very good. Thank you once again, and we will be back to wrap things up right after this.
We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town.
Learning Jungle on Main Street, formerly Main Street School Supply, is located in downtown Cambridge just west of the courthouse on Wheeling Avenue. They have a huge location full of educational resources and toys that teach, as well as entertain. They feature a large inventory of gifts for children of all ages, and you just have to check out their selection of stuffed animals, puppets, games, and much more. The Learning Jungle on Main Street, downtown Cambridge, has layaway for your convenience and is the area's only specialty toy store. A world of knowledge is waiting for you at their front door.
Bundy Law Funeral Home, locally owned since 1924, has earned the confidence of families they serve in the area. They provide quality service to the area every day and understand at the time of need you want to find comfort in dealing with folks that know you and honors your faith and customs. You'll get straightforward answers on prices, services, and pre-planning. You'll find they offer a variety of options to personalize your funeral service. See Chris Gibson, Jim Law, or Jacob Coe at Bundy Law Funeral Home. Your one-stop shop for all things computer-related is ABC Technical Services. Whether it's designing a new website, website maintenance, PC repair, or over-the-phone tech support, ABC Technical Services has you covered. ABC Technical Services can set up a new network, install the latest antivirus software, and they even offer full video production and editing services too. Give them a call at 740-432-5605 or visit them online at abctechnicalservices.com. A name you know, a name you trust. ABC Technical Services.
Well, thank you for tuning in to today's special edition of Talk of the Town. I'd like to thank Judge David A. Ellwood for joining us today, and once again, congratulations on 30 excellent years of service to Guernsey County and to the community. While we are excited for our new judge and our new prosecutor, many new faces going to be in the courthouse, we certainly are proud and humbled by the 30 years of service you put in. So thank you very much. I'd also like to thank Adam Green, our director and producer, and Joel Lasigo, who gave us some special help today. If you want to see this episode or any of our episodes of Talk of the Town, you can do so on yourradioplace.com or on our YouTube channel, YRPTV. Once again, for the whole crew here at Talk of the Town, I'm Daniel Barnett, and thanks for tuning in.
You're watching Talk of the Town on Cambridge Cable TV 2 and in New Concord on Orbit TV 9.